Welcome to your Daily Dose. My name is Robert, and I'm here with Ryan Cotton, CEO of Rocksteady Boxing. And now I'm happy to say a friend. We've been talking a little bit. How are you, Ryan?
Good, Robert. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, when we talk about Rocksteady Boxing and this exciting collaboration we have now with Cinema Therapy, one of the parallels that comes up is what people feel when they step into the gym for the first time and look at boxing. Can you talk about what you've seen and experienced in that regard?
Yeah, I see this happen every day, and but I'll just tell you a personal experience from my father, and we share that in common. A father with Parkinson's disease. Um, when my dad was diagnosed, I was already on the board of directors of Rocksteady Boxing, so I was on the board before I had any personal relationship to Rocksteady. And my dad wasn't an athlete, he wasn't an exerciser. Um, he had, we call it closeted Parkinson disease. He just had a tremor, and I can easily tuck that tremoring hand into my pocket and not worry about it. And so, you know, he obviously knew my involvement in the organization and the importance of exercise, but I wasn't going to push him to that. He needed to come to to his own conclusion. And for a long time, he said, "Look, if y'all ever run a study with Rocksteady Boxing, I'll be glad to be in the control group that doesn't box because there's no way I'm going to boxing gym for my Parkinson disease and hang out with all those people with Parkinson's. Like I got it under control. I can just tuck this hand away and we're good to go." So I didn't push, but I kept information flowing in front of them, right? Like, here's more research that says the importance of exercise. Here's research that shows the slowing of the progression of the disease. And so one day I just get a call and he said, "Hey, I thought you'd want to know I went to Rocksteady for my assessment today." I said, "Well, that's pretty good." I said, "I hope you'll like it. I think you will." Um, and then, 2 days later, he calls. I went to my first class. I never wanted to go, but here I went and I went to my first class. It didn't kill me, and I actually enjoyed myself. Funny side note that we're not trying to make here is the next class he calls and said, "Ooh, I about didn't make it through the warm up this day." He's like, they were being nice to me my first day and they really cranked it up. But that's a long kind of fun way to say he went from being opposed to going and being part of this class to making his own decision, getting into that class, and then he was hooked. He
Yeah.
was part of that Rocksteady community till his final days. Um, it's interesting in my job. I get to visit affiliate locations around the country, and this is a common story I share that I see the same cast of characters in the affiliates around the country, right? You got the cheerleader, you got the comic relief. I always say my dad was the community liaison, right? He's a quiet guy kind of in the back, but if you missed a day or two, he was calling and checking in on you. Hey, haven't seen you, what's going on? Um, so I think he went from being opposed to being a participant or at least reluctant, maybe not opposed, um, to being a regular participant, being part of the community, and being part of the wheel that kept that community going there. And I think the same thing with what you're doing. Um, Someone might sit back and say, "It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not a writer. I'm not whatever." And then they learn a little about it and they're intrigued a little bit. But once they engage in the process, they see, well, this is not just about me. It's work for myself, but it's also plugging me into a program where we have a shared experience and shared community. And there's that perhaps bigger benefit is the community and support that comes through it.
Yeah, I so many things I heard you say that I love. One popped when you talked about seeing the same cast of characters in different affiliates. From a storytelling standpoint, that's what we call archetypes, right? You have your antagonist, protagonist, the herald, the shapeshifter, all those things. And that's the story of Rocksteady, which is something, we plan to capture within this whole process too. And when we have talked to people, giving calls to all the affiliates, that is something that people found interesting. Number one, I know this isn't your favorite thing, but they said, "Ooh, we like Ryan." Yeah, I know. They like you. But also too, that they said, oh, this is going to be something Rocksteady is going to put out, this anthology we talk about. Um, I think that shows them a larger vision, that I'm not just writing from some ubiquitous state, but I'm lifting up this thing that, as you said, I'm already bought into, because Rocksteady becomes, a community center for many people, right? It's not just where they get their exercise. It is where they get their social interaction, their friend group. And what we're trying to capture here in this program and Go the Distance, our cinema therapy collaboration, is, that story. And it doesn't have to be the direct, here's my story, as we said, the separated by one note, the aesthetic distance. That's where people can just tell something cool, semi-fictionalized, and still be like, whoa, wait a minute, this is bigger than me. And I think that's something people with Parkinson's have a hard time with. I mentioned talking over the weekend or earlier the week in North Dakota. There's that emotion of awe that I try to introduce to people, because from a health standpoint, awe is important to reset our place in the universe. Parkinson's can make us feel like we're non-existent, even, not just the person with, but the care partner too, who feels helpless. The doctors can feel that way because they want so much to provide something, and there's no cure yet, right? So all that awe can reset and be like, oh, wait a minute, the way I feel right now, the community I'm part of, the thing we're building. I mean, the story of Rocksteady Boxing to me is an awesome thing, that it started in a garage with one guy who was just saying, I'm not done. I know I'm not done. And I'm literally going to fight back. To take that from the garage and now be like, whoa, 800 affiliates, 30,000 plus boxers. I mean, and not in a big period of time. This is less than 20 years, right?
Yeah, founded in 2006, and we didn't even start teaching other people how to do Rocksteady until late 2012, 2013. So we're just over a decade of training other folks at this point.
Yeah.
One thing you said was interesting. One of our original boxers, Fred, he talked about how isolating how isolating Parkinson's can feel. Like, oh, I'm the only dude with this. Um, and that's a lonely feeling, and hope can leave the building, right? When that's the feeling. And I think that's one thing, one reason that the community is so important, whether it's with a project like yours or a gym like ours. When they show up for the first time and see the rowdiness that's going on in the gym, but also they see literally the people in the gym that are having the same fight, that loneliness and that isolation starts to melt away, and hope starts to fill that back in. And that hope might have left the equation a long time ago. So um, in our cornerman lounge here at headquarters, there used to be a big mural that said, "In this corner, hope." Um,
Yeah.
so I think realizing that you're not isolated, and that's the great thing with both of our organization and your project, is that it brings that community together, and then there's that community instills and supports hope for one another.
So what I heard you say, and I liked it, was that idea we've said a couple times, that that's not me, right? That's the feeling that happens walking into your gym. Sometimes people checking out my website or checking out one of my talks, that's not me. I guess the follow-up would be perhaps, but could that be us? Right? Could you see yourself as part of something? Maybe it's not you right now. Could you be part of a larger you? Could you be part of a we and us, right? And you guys have proven that. I mean, again, 30,000 plus numbers tell that exact story. And, what it means in terms of quality of life is phenomenal. And there's something else I was going to bring up. Have you heard of, I'm going to grab it real quick, the new book by Ryan, not by Ryan, it's you, by Dr. Dorsey and Oken, The Parkinson's Plan? Got your copy? Good boy. So you know what the A stands for in the acronym? I'm going to quiz you. Do you know?
No, I no, fill me in.
amplify. So of their what they want to do is, and this has been Ray's been on this, and so is Michael, since the last book for sure, at least, but is amplify the voice of the Parkinson's community. They know they've been dogged about this, and they're so good that they can't do it alone from the medical research side. As brilliant as they are, as hardworking as they are, as many resources as they have, they need the millions of us, right? Not just the people with, but the care partners, family members, and wellness people, to amplify our voices in the same way that HIV/AIDS, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, all of them did that. That's what's in here. They put it forward again. And when it comes to that, this is where I just went, oh, they didn't put my name in here, but they're writing about this. That this is what the call of cinema therapy is to say, folks, we have to raise our voice to get what we want, what we need. And again, we have to believe that we're worth getting it, that the work will matter. Someone could easily question, what if it's just my story? Well, I guess my answer would be, what if your story was part of many stories? What if it was, that way you don't feel the weight of, wait, you want my one story to be the stone that slew Goliath? No, no, no. We're going to get a whole, a quarry full of stones and just, assault the thing. And that's what our stories can be, to again amplify. I love this through the lens of Rocksteady Boxing, to take the next step, because people go now, okay, yeah, we can accept exercise. And in the Parkinson's community, they're good about this. What's next? I believe this is what's next, because we know right now when they identify amplify, they're talking about cognitive behavioral therapy and support groups, right? To try to get people together. You guys are kind of a sneaky support group, the same way that we are. We get that label, right? So how do we push that out? How do people get to know the Rocksteady Boxing story, know the people who are in it better? Well, they do it through good storytelling. That's the Trojan horse into the brain. Stories that actually engage and happen to be about Parkinson's, or have some element to it.
Right. I describe our gym as a support group of people yelling, hollering with their gloves on, right? There's no time for complaining. There's plenty of time for empathy and support, but there's no time for complaining because we're too busy getting stuff done. And to your point of, what does my one story mean? I'm sure in the 80s with the AIDS blanket, right? Like, oh, I have my square that represents my friend, that represents my family member. And what difference does that make? Well, it made a difference when it was spread out on the National Mall with everyone else's quilt in the 80s to raise that voice and raise that awareness.
And that's us right now. We know without a doubt, fastest growing neurological disease in the world. I mean, that statement still shocks people, so I try to keep trumpeting that. But there's no doubt about that now. That's happening. The numbers are growing consistent with the pandemic, right? So, when that's how I think you're exactly right. We need to help the community stop seeing itself individually and see it collectively. And you already have that. This is what we're trying to harness. Say, y'all are out here doing this already. Now, how can we take the yelling outside of the gym and make everyone hear it? And not just, it's not just a desperate way. It's a fun way too. I mean, when people say, oh my God, you're yelling and you're having a good time. Whoa, wait a minute. This is something that I thought Parkinson's was just tremors. It's like, no, there's a lot more going on under the surface. And that's what we're trying to bring forward.
Right, right.
Yeah, man. Well, this is fantastic. So just to recap that again, that idea, if any of you watching this have that feeling of, that's not me. Well, if you happen to be a Rocksteady Boxing person, you've probably already experienced that once when you walked in the gym and said, that's not me. And then as Ryan said, you got involved and all of a sudden it was you. And now you don't think twice about it. So if you're having a similar, that's not me, about being a writer and telling this, go the distance story within collaboration with Rocksteady Boxing, hope you'll come in and give it a chance. Come into, our virtual gym, as it were, meet the other people, maybe check out, as I pointed out to Ryan, the success stories, see the other people who have written things and where they went from feeling like they had nothing, that it was impossible, and now who and what they are, and how they're amplifying their voice once again for the good of all of us. So that's what I hope anyway. And I agree with you about the importance of hope.
Right. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, thanks for your time, buddy.
All right. Thanks for having me. Great talking.